So, originally I was gonna make a first impressions video of Nightreign, but I got really sick and the video ended up being delayed. Between that and some other life stuff, I ended up really busy, so within that time I've actually managed to finish Nightreign and try out some of the new life service-based bosses that have been released. With all that in mind, I figured I'd just make a full review since I've played it through and gotten the ending already. The footage you see here in this video is still from those first impressions, however, and I figured it'd be best to keep it this way to avoid any spoilers in case some of you might be interested in playing the game yourself. So without further ado, let's just jump right into Elden Ring Nightreign. I wanted to start us off with some things I really liked about my experience playing Elden Rings. There's quite a bit, so I'll try to keep each point brief so I don't end up talking your ears off. The first thing I wanted to start it off was with the characters. They're all really well balanced. The level up and stat system has been streamlined, yet it's still pretty dang good. I'd say every character at least feels really strong by the time they level up and they have their appropriate builds. And they're all interesting as well in terms of story. I've only recently learned that they have their own little story quests, because it's a little bit hidden, the typical FromSoft way, but they are there. You can just go and do the journal quests and they even give you rewards for doing so. All in all, I think the characters are a really nice addition. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the gameplay. The gameplay loop itself feels really solid, it's very satisfying. It's long, but it's not too long. It's a good amount of time. It's about 30 to 45 minutes run. Overall, the combat is good as well. Like, it was really good in base Elden Ring, but this is a little faster here, especially with the new character skills. The bosses themselves are really fun and unique. There's some callback bosses. I haven't seen them all, admittedly, but most of them are pretty good. The weekly raid bosses are also a really cool idea. Not always my cup of tea, but in general, I think they're a really nice idea. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the performance. On release, it was really hit or miss with lots of freezes, but I'm happy to say that at least in my case, it's been resolved now. The game just tends to run buttery smooth and looks great doing so. I'm really appreciative of the overall art style that goes with it. And there are some bugs here, but for a modern game, it's pretty bug-free for the most part. You can have straight back-to-back matches with only a handful of bugs. And lastly, in this little section, I wanted to talk about the music. It's pretty self-explanatory. The track is gorgeous. FromSoft has always been really good with this, and this game's no different. The boss soundtracks are just bliss, you know, they're really solid. And that's about most of what I wanted to say about the good stuff, at least. I could ramble for ages, but these were the things I found most important to the game, and I just wanted to keep it brief. Coming up next, I wanted to talk about the bad things, or the things I didn't like, so I might as well start from the top. The first thing I want to talk about is that it can be kind of repetitive at times. The game is really good, but the gameplay loop is very samey. There's a lot of RNG still to kind of keep things fresh, but at the end of the day, the RNG is with your build and where things are, not really like actually shifting up the gameplay all that much. Like, once you get down, you have like one or two playstyles you really aim for, and you pretty much either meet it or you don't, and you have a less great run. That kind of repetition can get boring at times, but if you just play a few runs at a time, it's barely even noticeable. The next thing is that there's still no duo queue. Like, the game is balanced for two players if you lose a person, so like, the formatting is there, the setup is there, it's just not in there yet, and I don't quite understand why, or if they're going to change some of the other balance things for a second person, but I guess we'll see how that turns out, if it turns out. FromSoft says it's on the way, so fingers crossed. The next thing I want to talk about is the multiplayer mechanics. They are in general very lacking. If you get a troll player, you're just stuck with them for the whole game. There's no way to kick them from your lobby if you're the host. You're just stuck there. And leaving and trying to abandon the bad player will just get you banned. Like, shadow banned temporarily, but it's still punishing you for having to put up with, like, people. It's not always great. Speaking of shadow bans, I also want to talk about how punishing they can be if the game crashes. There is no reason why that should fully ban you. Like, I understand the concept, but the fact that your game can crash and then fail to reconnect because of the server, and then you're just, like, done for the hour. That's insane. I don't know. I have pretty mixed opinions. I understand why they did that, but I'd appreciate it if they didn't just ban me every time I was already down, you know? The next thing I want to talk about is also the crashes. Way to segue one thing into another. But the game does have its occasional crashes, and so do the servers at their peak times. I noticed this at launch as well as the new live service bosses that kind of came out. I tried playing them with my friends, and every time we tried to connect to a server, it would just disconnect us and crash on the spot. So that's something to be wary of, especially if you do play when the bosses drop. The new bosses are only available one at a time and rotate weekly, meaning if you don't keep up with it, you'll just miss that content entirely. And I understand it's to keep the game fresh, but I would like a little bit more time to engage with the bosses, just because otherwise I'll miss out if I'm doing something that week. Okay, so now that we've gone over the good and the bad, I just want to kind of give my overall opinion on the matter. And I'd say that the game is in a really good place. There are some things I don't like about the game, but for the most part, it offers a really solid experience to its players, and the devs are doing what they can to keep it functional and interesting as time goes on. I'd recommend it if you have some players or some friends to go into the game with. I haven't tried the solo content personally, but pretty much all of my friends seem to generally dislike it. So I'm willing to believe them that it has its issues with scaling and has been designed for multiple players. So yeah, if you have a couple friends and you like Elden Ring, go ahead. It's in a really good place right now. And that was it for my Elden Ring review. Admittedly, scripting and writing something this structured feels a little forced, but it's good practice, and putting it all together has still been a blast. I hope you all had fun watching. I'm not sure what's in store for the future of this experimental channel, but I'm pretty motivated to keep making random things going on. So, thank you all again, and take care now.